Hey guys, we have some updates and could really use some prayer after yesterday's most recent appointment for Caden. Yesterday was Monday and I went to Burlington again for a growth scan. John had to work, but thankfully my parents were visiting last weekend, so they stayed an extra day to go to the appointment with me, which was super nice because I would not have done well by myself yesterday. So we went for the growth scan, which is an ultrasound just to check his growth and just different parts of his body, make sure everything is doing well. And the ultrasound went well. We got some really cool 3D photos of him, which we hadn't gotten 3D photos yet, and so that was really fun to see his face. John was kind of creeped out by them, but I love it, so that was fun. But two things did show up during the ultrasound. The first is his kidneys are dilated. That is very common for babies with Down syndrome because their kidneys just release fluid at a slower pace often. And we're told that that shouldn't be something we need to be concerned about. It should resolve itself hopefully and or just not become a bigger issue. They do need to keep an eye on it to make sure the kidneys don't keep getting bigger and bigger, and if that's the case, there's likely a blockage somewhere. But that wouldn't be Down syndrome related, that would just be Caden has a blockage. So we're going to keep an eye on it, but it's something that they said not to be overly concerned with at this point. And then the other thing that showed up was that he is in the 8th percentile for growth at the moment. Proportionally, everything looks good, but he is at the 8th percentile. So anything under 10%, they then measure the blood flow through the umbilical cord to make sure that he's getting what he needs. So they did that because he was measuring so small. And he scored a 96 on that, and anything above a 95 is abnormal. So what I'm about to give is a lot of information, but we just really appreciate prayers as we navigate all of this. So I'll try to explain it the best that I can, but pretty much once there's an issue with flow in the umbilical cord, there's 3 levels of severity. So level 1 is the reduced flow, which is where we're at. The flow isn't, it's more restricted than it should be. Level 2 would be if the flow is, I'm not a doctor, so this is the best that I understand it from what they told me yesterday, but level 2 would be pretty much no flow, little to no flow. And then level 3 would be reversed flow. So the flow is actually going the wrong way in the umbilical cord. So we are just barely into that level 1 of the restricted or reduced flow. And so that automatically changes a couple things for the rest of our pregnancy. One being that we now move to weekly appointments starting now, not starting at 32 weeks, to check the flow of the umbilical cord. So from now on, I'm gonna have to go to Burlington weekly to get that checked because it needs to be monitored really closely, because it can increase risk of stillbirth. And so it needs to be checked to make sure that he's doing okay and he's getting what he needs. The second thing is that the growth scans, so the thing I went in for yesterday, instead of every 4 weeks, we're doing those every 3 weeks now. And then the third thing is that because of the reduced flow, our goal is now to get to 37 weeks. Instead of, we were at 39 weeks / 40. Pregnancy is supposed to be 40. So we'll likely deliver at 37 weeks. There's a very slim chance that if he's doing really well, they might push it to 38, but it's looking more like 37 weeks. So that's February 17th, which is crazy because his original due date was March 10th. So he's coming earlier than we were expecting, although we always knew it was a possibility that he might come early. So that's kind of where we're at now. Now I'm going to explain the possibilities of that level 2 and level 3 just to kind of give you guys like an idea of what we are praying. Just if we reach those levels, how we could use your prayers, and just how we could use your prayers now to kind of stay in that level 1 and or kind of get better and back not into level 1. But level 2 is that like kind of very minimal or no flow level. And if at any of my weekly check-ins at this point we find out that I'm at the level 2, what that means is that they will admit me to the hospital for at least a couple days, and they'll give me some steroid shots. And what that will do is prepare Caden in the best way possible for an early birth. Sorry, my hand's getting tired. And so that will be, I'll be in the hospital for a couple days, get those, and then they'll monitor me and him and just see if they can release me from the hospital and go back to the weekly check-ins, or if I'll have to stay and be monitored more closely. Like, it'll kind of just depend on what happens at that point. And if we hit that level 2, they will most likely deliver somewhere between 33 and 35 weeks. So that's kind of what the level 2 would look like. And then the level 3, if it's reverse flow, it'll be an automatic, like I'm in the hospital, and they'll probably deliver between 30 and 32 weeks. I assume that they'll be monitoring him really closely and trying to get him to 30 if it's possible. I don't know if they would take him earlier than that, but the time frame they gave for reaching level 3 was like 30 to 32 weeks is when they would take him. Which 30 weeks is in like about 3 weeks. So we're really praying he doesn't have to come that early. And we're really praying that the blood flow just kind of stays where it's at or gets better, and we make it all the way to 37, maybe even 38 weeks. But this news definitely does change kind of the trajectory of the pregnancy, and just is something for us to just keep an eye on. I need to be paying more attention to like his fetal movements and just making sure I'm feeling him move, and just drinking lots of water, and yeah, just praying for his health and that he continues to get what he needs. So yesterday was a pretty emotional day, and we could just definitely use the prayers. Thank you so much for everybody who's already been praying for us and reaching out, and all of your kind words. It was fun to get to see his face with the 3D images yesterday, but it was also kind of a scary day getting some news that's not the easiest. So yeah, prayers appreciated. Thank you guys all for all of your love and support, and Caden is one really loved little boy, and we can't wait to meet him, but we don't want to meet him sooner than he's ready to come out. So thank you guys, and we'll keep you updated.